Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for coming again. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed the last video so much. This is part 4, the last in this series of my love letters to Nigeria, and let's get into it. Why I love Nigeria. Dear Nigeria, I love you because through you I met some of the most incredible people. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the topic for this episode are the wonderful, awesome, amazing Nigerians that I've come across in my nearly 17 years of being in contact with Nigeria. And I'll start from the very first Nigerian I ever met. That's my mommy. And obviously everybody's biased to their mom, so I will do nothing less and tell you that my mom is awesome. My mom has been my best friend. She raised me alone almost 30 years of life, and she did an excellent job, if I do say so myself. And my introduction to Nigeria when I was little, so as you can tell, I talk a lot, and the background of that is I used to ask a lot of questions. So I would ask my mom, so where are you from? You African, you speak this Igbo language? Tell me about this place. And she would tell me stories on the subway, to school, and every time I would bother her to tell me something new about Nigeria, and she would tell me stories of how they used to swim in streams, and it used to blow my mind. I'm like, you used to swim in like live water, like not a pool. Wow. I'm like, this Nigeria place, I have to see it. Of course I had been, I think a lot of the time I had been, before I went in 96, I was imagining things, and then after, obviously I didn't get to go to all the places. But my favorite story is I asked my mom her favorite fruit, and she told me udara, which is abalumo. I do not know the Hausa name for it. I need to find out. And I was like, why? And she's like, well, it turns to gum. Now, 7-year-old me is addicted to gum. That's why I got all these cavities. But I'm addicted to gum, so I'm like, stop, a fruit that turns to gum? You're kidding me? And I'm like, of all the stories my mom has ever told me, this I don't believe. I just didn't. I'm like, oh, she thinks I'm a kid. She's messing with me. How can fruit turn to gum? Every chance I get, I would ask her about this miraculous fruit that turns to gum, until when I was like in JS1 and I finally had it, when we had moved back to Nigeria, and I was like, oh, she was telling me the truth. She wasn't joking. It actually can be chewed. So yeah, my mom is the first Nigerian I met and the most awesome Nigerian I know, because she's my mama. She birthed me, so I love her, and through her I fell in love with Nigeria. She would teach me Igbo songs. Of course I knew Igbo right out the womb because she was speaking to me in Igbo. My first word was name. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I was born in America and my first word was in Igbo. Yes. In fact, my mom used to say I had Igbo accent when I started talking, and everybody would be like, oh, did you just bring her from Nigeria? And she'd be like earth her hands, like, I gave back to her here. I don't know why the thing is so local. But yeah, and yeah, she would teach me Igbo songs, she would teach me all sorts of things, and I was just fascinated with Nigeria. So my interest in Nigeria, no be today, it starts. It don't stay. Where? The second greatest Nigerian I know was my grandmama. So my grandmama did 18 months of Mugwo in the US. She party trained me, and if you catch her on a good day and make a mistake to bring up that story, my grandma is not she will not waste time to tell you about my potty training story. Yeah, my grandma was really awesome. So my grandma is a wonderful historian, wonderful storyteller. She has the memory of an elephant, and I used to love hearing stories from her because she would tell you the time, the day, what everybody was wearing. She would really paint an amazing picture for you. So she used to tell me bedtime stories of like my aunties and uncles when they were growing up, and I absolutely loved that. Like or the funny stories of my mom. When we first moved back to Nigeria, I used to sleep with my grandma, and that's how she put me to bed. When I used to visit Nigeria before we moved back, my grandma would tell me bedtime stories, because I would always have jet lag, and of course there would be no lights at night. Very, very rarely would there be light at night. So my grandma would tell me stories of my mom and her siblings when they were little. She'd tell me about when I was born, how she went to the bathroom and I came back and they said I was here. And I loved my grandma's stories. My grandma was my tales by moonlight, for real. She told me the best stories and I loved listening to her. I'll put a clip of my grandma right now so you guys could hear her. People are always surprised that she speaks such good English, but she was trained in Teachers Training College, Oron. So my grandma is very educated and speaks superbly, and I love her to bits. Tell me what you remember about the years leading up to independence, all the rigmarole around it, the whole shibaz. What was it like in Lagos at the time?
That independence was something else. Everybody was there. It was a very great day. The whole of that place was different companies coming to show off what they have. Independence, everybody enjoyed that independence. We sang and danced.
The third Nigerian that I ever fell in love with, now I'm chronicling my best Nigerians, is my grandpa. Now my grandpa is my best friend ever. I love him to death. He's passed away sadly, but he was my best friend. Like, we are almost the same thing. He was a columnist for Vanguard before he passed away. He wrote for Vanguard for about 5 years before he passed away. He wrote a column on politics, and me and him would discuss. So when I moved to Nigeria, I moved in with my grandparents. So my grandma was like the first half of my life. She was very interesting to tell me stories, catch me up with things. But as I grew up, and then this was like the most time I was spending with my grandpa, we became friends, and then he realized I was smart. I remember the first day that he realized I could hold a conversation about politics. I was like 13 or something, and he came out, he shuffled in his sleep, and he came and he's like, this girl is really smart. And my mom was like, I've told you that. Mom was quite offended, like, that's my baby, like, I told you that. But my grandpa likes to find out things by himself. So he shuffled, and he looks at his glasses, and he looks at my grandma, looks at my mom. He's like, this girl is very smart. And that became the beginning of a wonderful friendship. So like, every time he has a topic, we sit down, we discuss. I think a lot of the reason why I was drawn to journalism was because of my grandpa. We used to watch CNN together. We'd stay up, we'd watch news, like all sorts of news cycles. We'd discuss so many topics. We'd talk about politics. He'd give me background of the military era. I'd read his column. Sometimes I'd proofread for him. I wrote an article for him once. They had asked him to write about homosexuality, and he's like, he doesn't have an opinion. So my grandfather was an atheist, and he's like the coolest guy. So many people used to come and greet him and bring so many things and tell him thank you in his old age. They would appreciate him because he used to be head of personnel in MPA. So he gave so many people jobs, and he wasn't discriminatory about it, you know, not just Igbo people, Yoruba people, Hausa people, anybody that needed a job. My grandpa usually helped out, you know. There's a story that my grandpa was about to lose his job because everybody didn't like that he was so straight, and Murtala Mohammed kind of saved his job, you know. He has a book. He wrote a book. I'll show you a picture of that later, and that kind of chronicles his life. So my grandpa was like really extraordinary, and he lived a very interesting life, and I got to hear some of it, and we got to relate. The best thing I loved about him was that he never talked to me like a child, you know, the way my mom and my grandma did, because they saw me when I was small. So my grandpa didn't really see me when I was little. Our first proper interaction was from when I was 10, and then 13, because I think that was like GS3, like long vacation. So that was kind of the longest time we spent together. And yeah, So that was my best friend. And those are my top 3 favorite Nigerians. After that, there's no numbering because we don't want anybody to feel bad. You know, I got my favorite uncles, got my favorite aunties. They're all awesome. They pet me. I'm the only child, so yes, I tend to be spoiled by everybody around me. Everybody loves me. Everybody loves me. But as an only child, the thing that I have to say is most significant are the friends that I've made along the way. I've met some of the most amazing people in my age group, even friends that are older than me, younger than me, and they are the reason why I love Nigeria, because without my time in Nigeria, without my exposure to Nigeria, I never would have met such awesome people. These are friends that I could talk about anything with, no judgment, like we reason on a higher level. I have the most intellectual conversations, deep conversations with anybody I truly call my friend, and they know themselves. I don't need to point them out. Hi. I came into myself as a teenager, I came into myself as an adult here in Nigeria, and all of that was based on the influence of the awesome people I had around me while here in Nigeria, and not even just my friends. Now, so I did a video with Ivoma that just moved back here, and she was asking about my move back experience, and I told her one of the reasons why I moved back from New York was that lack of sense of community. You could be on the subway, and crowded subway, and you feel like the only person in the world. And I've been alone, like I know what it is to be alone, to be by myself. Yeah, I have my mom, but like there are very few conversations we can like really have, you know. I know what it is to grow up alone. I know what it is to be alone, to be in a place alone. So as full as New York was, you still kind of felt alone. There was no like community, there's no comfort, but Nigeria gives you that. I know we talk a lot about tribalism and all the issues that we have here and class issues, but at the heart of it, Nigerians really make you feel comfortable. I don't think there is any state I've gone to that I came across a stranger and I felt unsafe. I've gone to places and I feel welcome, you know. Even going to the market, you banter, auntie, I don't have 15 naira, they'll leave it. Or you go somewhere and somebody will say, oh, don't worry, I'll help you pay for it. You know, like things like that. That doesn't happen in New York. That doesn't happen at all abroad. I don't know where other people stay abroad, maybe other countries, maybe Europe, maybe Canada, but my side, my corner of the US, that do not happen. And I love that. I love that I can go anywhere and eat. So, you know, you can banter in the bus. You've been downfall. Today I was hanging off like you downfall because there was so much traffic. So I was in the bus and I was hanging off the bus, and the guy was like, make I lap you now. Don't no sit there, or come and sit on the steering with me. And you know, that type of banter. In America, like you'll be hard pressed to find somebody that will banter like that, you know, early in the morning. They just want to do their job and go. Like, you know, service people, they'll be friendly, but nobody really give you that, like, you know, family banter, like you feel like it's your brother. Or, you know, I tried to buy a balloon today and we're all like whining the balloon guy, like, is this sweet, is this sweet? Like, we know this one is not sweet. You know, just a group of us, and they were local guys. I think they were like bricklayers or workers or something, but I bantered with them and I felt comfortable. I didn't feel, you know, and that's the type of thing that makes me love Nigeria so much, that I could feel comfortable with anybody, anywhere I go. You know, like, I just feel like I'm at home, and I'm so grateful for the people that I've come across that have been nice to me. I'm not gonna lie, some of the most evil people reside right here in Nigeria, but that's not what this video is about. Maybe stay tuned for next week though. But yeah, these are the reasons why I love Nigeria, and this is the end of my love letter series to my darling Nigeria. I love you because of my history with you. I love you because of the places I've been. I love you for the experiences you've given me, and I love you for the kind-hearted people you allowed me come across in my life. So stay tuned. I have so much in store for you guys on this YouTube channel. You're gonna have fun. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it was short enough. Till next time, I remain your very own Princess Paco.